Key and Peele. I believe it's the one referred to as Key, who is the taller one, who was in a commercial that was on a few times recently. And then you're I'm a fan of you guys. In it, you're saying you repeat. She's really saying this. She always a lot of people want to buy this house. For example, before our nation's founding, and with it, there was already an entrenched organized crime method that was a whole bunch of crazy laws against what anyone could say, and with treatments of positive, and with motivations and interests that were juxtaposed methodically to keep everyone blaming the real causes of negative and the maintenance to the negative value, the real cause of the maintenance to it too, of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Maintenance, keeping it them self-valued, blamed on other things, others themselves, like color. That's why they originally still maintain, not let realize the organized crime method against fact cheating nature, everyone. Those laws. That was a method, is a method. That's why no one lets anyone have free speech to demonstrate the logistical, not the color impositions upon people, the logistical. They want us to word it that way. Then we're equality of fact, cheating nature that can defend ourselves. They have physical delusions, criminal foreign influence, and intersciences. Now, it's all right if someone wants to debate about who's delusional, what, put sequence through. See how Mueller and Comey were used for crimes right through the Obama administration, or nature of organized crime, method of organized crime, a whole bunch of them bonded. A whole bunch of people with CCSU, Justice Department, Pentagon racket rolls, right through department administration since before him. These are a whole bunch of people with demoralized families, a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court. There's a Mike Levine, a whole bunch of people on and off, well, associated on and off campuses, associated with the on and off stop and shops and union groups. There's other Mike people with that name, Mike, involved with New Britain Superior Court criminally, but also this Mike Levine is by a principal sex offender. Made a confession using that name, which note with a name that rhymes with it. And there are judges recorded threatening and torturing me not to say about what is actually recorded. About they're attaching me to fake words. They attach the fake news, fake communications with the news. And the news is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of federal evidences crimes with overt criminal enterprises clicks, foreign and domestic military, and crimes with the Trade Center, with the Trade Center attack clicks, ones that work there and not. In other words, this ISIS racket, this is an organized crime method here, there, in collusion, fake sides. Like, for example, a whole bunch of people were confessed and recorded natures of federal crimes that are associated with interbranch, associated and criminal justice clicks, undercover police forms and stuff like that. Also involve crimes with overt criminal enterprises. A whole bunch of people with a Billy Grasso body dumping spot and his person associated criminally with boxing gyms. John Scully, his friend that didn't like or were they acting or what? Because that's a pattern with them, with overt criminal enterprises, and with the people, a Mike Kerr, a Jerry Kerr, two Jerry Kerrs, and I don't know their mother's name, by Jerry Miller, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes, wire crimes with Weathersfield Police, crimes with child sex offender cliques. He didn't say that, but those are the names that were recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved further with the principal child sex offenders campus. When I tried to report this, they forced that at first. Caught anyway. but it's way worse because the worst thing he's put in jail for recorded roles too tied to his doctors and police forms before he was put in jail in prison. Those people from Sandy Hook, I believe he's in a Sandy Hook prison, associated as the family members, associated with a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of people involved through time with forensics cliques, foreign and domestic families, state police, former director of the FBI down, federal criminal co-defendants of his, all criminal uses of houses in my area of their but through their fact cheating nature, through their crimes in our cases. As victims, a lot of the cases are the victim predators. When I say crimes, I'm talking about the crimes by the judges I'm trying to report here. By the prosecutors standing through time, a whole bunch of people of roles. See, their interest, this is their motivations, is because they're involved with life progressions, intercities, intercampuses. Then they need to hide them. They need to hide their actually recorded natures by hurting each age of each person distinctly and non-distinctly, each nature of sophistication. This is a whole bunch of people associated with Hartford, the policing of the clubs and stuff with my name, who acted in the past like they know me. Not nothing natural like things like that. These are people involved with federal evidences crimes with Fox Connecticut News, with the former director of the FBI, CIA, their family members involved with crimes with child sex offenders, and with female judges, and with people on and off the state judicial branch offices. Whole bunch of people with Rocky Hill on and off locations around WFSB, all along Maple Street. There's something there they're trying to duck behind that they're also trying to confess because this is how they keep their titles defended and people defending how they have private agreements at the trade center level. You can't defend that and not be a lipoaggression cover up nature style that's incapable of standing free speech. So you hurt each age of fact cheating nature. That's what's maintained because this is intercity. There's stop and shops, not just these are all victim predators. See, we have to embrace these nations because we're supposed to be grouped, but not like this because there's some kind of shared policing there or whatever it is that are preventing me free speech since I was a kid. Them acting, even lying to my family members behind my back, but we can't get anything in writing since I was a kid. This is tied to proven NLRB case victory, and then it was ongoing at the time of my death. A racketeering case against former director of the FBI as a defendant, and his co-defendants are federal criminals and ones associated with them with a whole bunch of database crime rolls with their family members themselves and police forms and overt criminal enterprises since I was a little kid with the same ones, with the same campuses, the same connected group. Justice Department, Washington, D.C., crimes in the Trade Center attack, Ninth Circuit rolls further off the interstates after already intercities campus. I have all the sources. See, but the courts already had with their police also foreign and domestic military families and police also already evidence of crimes that they relied on with no with criminality. This is what keeps states and areas needing to hide lies from presidents, pretending all that's politics. Facilitated already that per their nature of child abuse, each branch of government individually, grouped and together. Delusions raw, criminally foreign influence, fact cheating nature, sciences, victim predators law. See, distinctly and non-distinctly and simultaneously. So when you're describing it, these are fact cheating nature racket roles, racketeering roles, breaching organized crime rules, worse than war crimes. This is the organized crime breaching method that was entrenched here since before our nation's founding. Again, all juxtaposed move. So there's a woman who's with the Coast Guard who referred a couple times to. I believe she implied it was my house she was referring to as McMansion. It's just a raised ranch, but across the street is a field. So it's like I don't know if she was referring to me, but I don't know what, but she's associated. I don't know her. She would definitely know my name because the people associated with her are involved with identity thefts. So I don't know her name, and she's associated with a Joshua June who's pretending he know me, and he's involved with judges attaching little kids to fake locations through time, crimes with child sex offenders proven, further child abuses recorded worse than him with even sexual and medical offenders. Attaching me to fake conversations, fake relationships to the doctors as a kid, fake diagnosis as a kid, and as an adult, they forged names, switched names, had me this same families involved whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court, other natures of courts, of criminal use. They see now they're needing to hide their crime acts roles and methods and natures other. See, they're offensive evidence perception predators. They're using another method of other natures and methods of weapons, although they are also recorded other natures of gun crime roles. Also other nature as all this facilitated through databases, identity of the ground, relationship to a crime method that's sticking them self-valued. Um, no one's gonna address all the worst impositions all tied to that because of the way everything is. Everyone's a victim predator with time treatment. Each age of fact treatment nature is a victim predator of all that too. The pseudo positive made self forced. So all again through roles, motivations. Even if someone wants to pretend that they see, I'm not saying it's connecting to that, but it is because you guys don't have the right for three theater because you're with advertisement companies are in collusion with the networks, with the fake news. They stole my identity to a fake conversation with them. And they forced sex crime acts then with a principal child offender caught anyway. But furthermore, and these are interbranch family members associated with it, not just intermilitary, Navy, Marines, people are reportedly dishonorably discharged from the Marines, especially if that's made up, because these are people involved with database crimes that they don't have the right for. They pretend they have the right to lie. In other words, they're criminally used. They're tricked fact sheet in nature because of the nature of child abuse. Of the forgiveness is regarding this nature of organized crime. But so there are true motivations in natures, but what is untrue is how the exploitation, the exception nature is being exploited. Free speech. See, we don't have free speech. We have people pretending to be about integrity by being who can pose for the play behavior right. Then no one has free speech. No one's ever able ever to correct originally and still sick justice. Their delusions raw, criminally foreign influence, sick, degenerate predators, individually grouped and together. Originally and still, that has to be said. That's not personal. That's recorded, actually recorded. So then to hide their natures, actually recorded, no criminal cases. I'm not even a lawyer. We're going to need the attorney general because we have states attorneys recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involve crime methods where they forge names, switch names, fake things into databases through time, tied to how they attach me and other kids through time to fake locations. Their crime acts rules, even with child sex offenders. I couldn't fathom in my mind how that could be furthered. You have to understand the women judges' roles, how they're actually motivated to it, recorded. They're pretending emotions and passions, but the sequence shifts show their offensive evidence fabrication racketeering roles show their roles, their crimes are recorded and confessed and demonstrated also from people outside of the courts about them and their family members. That this is no joke. This is leading up to the Trade Center attack criminally, intercampuses through time. Well, not just CCSU and Trinity, but this is from off campuses using the identity of the campuses, keeping all the students victim predators, all the victims, keeping all the teachers victims, victim predators too, though. Whereas now it counts. Everyone's making opinions only seeing and capable of being fact cheap in nature, that is with ill premise treatments, that is with uses of identities of locations, that is incapable of countering what's exploiting them from off campuses, from off the ground of education maintained on and off of it, because the ground has a tie to our quality of fact cheap in nature. No, abridged. They have all kinds of things that they say real fast and then go away. No, the same things. Even down to teaching, brainstorming. That's the thing they repeat. They don't know how to think logic. Logic is about the nature of all we are. And this is, we're going to discern the difference between positive as criminal and seditious nature and positive as positive. Positive as criminal and seditious nature needs to just, that's who you know. Who you know is sick. Fake branches stick. So we have corners of, there's a Kerr family, there are two Mendez police, and there are state police recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with former director of the FBI clicks and federal criminals and their family members, with people associated with crimes connected, as houses connected next to the campuses, next to religious spots, into religious spots. So I don't know what kind of police form they are, but they're with the Rocky Hill Athletic Center is involved with it. And they have some kind of coaches I never had a personal conversation with, involve all kinds of ways, you know, where they're trying to figure out they're offensively fabricating while they're investigating things, setting up things that to make misprision defended right to lie used through criminal foreign influence than what criminally foreign maintained. Fact cheap in nature. See, we're going to examine what left worse than forsaken and tortured and with no free speech, and worse, pretend, valuing having facilitated worse than the obfuscation of education, pretending, the people say, oh, you're lucky to be in the school. That makes them, we have a sickly, non distinctly sick education across the board of it. They say, well, look at the school, is one of the best schools. That's what they have that for. The same thing they use color for. What pretends it's the best education is pseudoscience. If it can't look at the identity of correlation that was left for us to actually, our founders' actual needs by us, by our obligations. Most important is our fact cheaping nature obligations. That's really, if you let that go, you let the identity of negative value nature progress to suits and ties. Answers that say, okay, send out more. Keep them thinking that, no, it's a cold world. Forget the perfect world. We have them going, how many, this is a database tied, but it's an identity of the ground tied. The engineering of fact cheaping nature, why we are it. Value nature system. Identities is values course. Maxine. It tells us things. Cool. So I forgot what I was gonna say. I was writing that. What's his name? Roberto Blake was doing a video with someone. And there's a value. See, people talk about value. See, these are math people. To understand value, you have to understand correlation nature's identity. English, that's why we capitalize English. This is about identity nature, which is temporary positive, as temporary positive or negative. Temporary slash positive to teach about the difference. I'm not a lawyer. It's the difference between positive. This is the difference between not police from not criminal. Now, judge, their sequence shifts, their physical delusions, and their criminally foreign influence, fact treatment nature, and crime methods are recorded. They could only be so pervasively ill, and they're also they don't realize, but they're recorded also with their police forms, their offensive evidence reception leading up to that. Forging names, switching names, whole bunch of switching intercities because worse than interstates is maintained interstates through organized crime groups, but it's maintained interstates through organized crime groups by one crime group. And that's keeping the branches criminally foreign influence too. It's keeping them needing to hide lie progressions. This is all confessed, demonstrated, recorded right through the pattern of people because the branches are criminally foreign influence with these overt criminal enterprises need to hide the same private ones, intercampuses, everything. Need to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies and styles of it, sequence shifts, natures of identity theft, all bonded. These aren't people who know how to speak. Then they say, "Oh, we have to go for voting." How are you gonna? What are you gonna pretend to be positive if you're preventing mandated law on a systemically ill scale? You're stealing people's identities still. You're still in collusion with the organized crime method our founders didn't have free speech and worse to counter. What are you going to do? You're going to pretend you're about voting. You're going to do anything to keep the sequence shifts, quality of fact, cheating nature, delusions, raw, and criminally foreign influence from being voiced. Free speech. WFSB is involved with this. They're making it worse because you guys are wasting, you're sustaining methods of child abuses on off campuses in layers. You have the Wethersfield police chief recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a whole bunch of police forms associated with him, people associated with his retired and standing, a whole bunch of people associated with the Dillon family, with medical corruption, with drug crime roles, with military, foreign, and domestic, associated with his family and others, with the area, with my new and past neighbors, with name games, preventing people free speech. You gotta watch these sick degenerate punks, especially the ones with the degenerate. You know what kind of evil person is with just send someone to jail? Use guns use the weapons of state to prevent people from free speech. Use the crime methods that and roles they have. They have a whole bunch of people with Hartford Hospital recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of natures of courts and judges criminally involved with them, a whole bunch of ways. Uh, a Judge Killian recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a pattern of uses of Facebook with guys that forged names, switched names, drug crime roles with gangs, with child sex offender families associated with my area, like a Smith family. Also with the people with the state police and family members associated with probate courts, like a guy with modern languages, a doctor of modern languages, Dr. Shoup, his wife associated with probate court, his kids associated with the locations on off WFSB and with these stores. I don't know if they're police what. Because also this Cololo family is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated because they have this Phil Cololo involved further with the child offenders, further with them with the overt criminal enterprise, with this protection program used criminally by their roles with FBI clicks, over other overt criminal enterprises clicks. These are the people when the judge clicks. Uh, Sandy Hook, all people on off the prison offices, on off the state judicial branch offices with them. And that location up the street, like where they have these two Mendez police are involved. So these people attach me to fake locations, fake recorded things by police. These are a whole bunch of natures of crimes they're sustaining. So I can't call up and report things. Since I was a kid in a sustained way, intercampuses, Weathersfield police chiefs involved with a whole bunch of people with his immediate and extended family members, with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic overt criminal enterprises, private, involved with drug crimes with the kids of a whole bunch of natures, formal, informal, crimes with databases, attaching kids to fake locations. Even women judges are involved with this, even who appears to be their family. People associated, a lot of people associated with a, a, um, a Victorian house on Two Rod Highway. A whole bunch of people on off Two Rod Highway recorded, confessed, and demonstrated on off Hangdog Lane, which is one of the streets connected to the child offenders. Recorded a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of criminality associated with Detective Dillon, and all the way from Cromwell and their mayors, retired and standing, involved with this criminally, with the child offenders, with this guy and with this Dillon group, and with these detectives, and with the people each corner of Maple Street, from Cromwell through Rocky Hill to that spot at the end of South State Highway, Maple Street, and then that's right. You keep going straight. You go by the, I don't know if it's judicial branch offices, people that sold that land that was involved originally. Our American history starts here, still captive. That's left us glorified because of the nature of the fact cheating nature of federal crimes, bonded crime rules, motivations, nature's needs, interests. So if you hear this, if you can follow mandated law, they got, if you guys playing theater, WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, WTNH, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a whole bunch of police forms, Justice Department racket rolls, crimes and cases already, criminal uses of Mueller's name for sequence shifts, cover ups, pretending to be uh, opinions about this and that. They're hiding that with the mandated law. So while they're hiding from the mandated law, they're pretending not to realize, but they're also faked me to fake conversations. They also took online ground positions, sequence shifts, and pretended to perceive things, pretended because people don't cooperate. They recorded, confessed, involved with crime methods of attaching people to fake names, forging names, switching names for torture, threatening people, even with guns, and with the forging, switching names, judges involved, even forcing child sex offenders. Now, these are people involved with Sandy Hook. So we have the investigators of that. We have criminal incompetence with opinion natures with these parties, and that needs to pretend to be a positive. Remember that. That's nothing. That's nothing. Who can vote? If you think that you can have the right to be able to the capability of be able to defend, now I'm not anyone or you care appeal. I say if anyone thinks that they have the right or the ability to defend the right to vote without being able to defend the right to free speech, to demonstrate fake integrity. That's our course. That's what everyone longs and has longed too long. Boxing is strong, but give it rest. I tell it best. See, we have to claim the Forsaken as the Forsaken. Play fact, chibi nature racket roles. Entertain that garbage. That's not maturity. They have these parties people. They have everyone. A through Z. Real sick. I'll teach you logic here. You cannot do. See, they have theories about logic. Those theories are recorded, involved with an organized crime method that keeps them criminally foreign influenced and exploited that way. It's keeping lie progressions. Now, you can't even get mandated law, and you guys pretend you're about theater. like what's his name? Stephen Colbert. Colbert. You guys, I know that you pretend like you have morality. Fix the fake. You have fake conversation me with your network. No, your databases are involved with child sex offenders, medical offenders, judges attaching little kids to fake locations through time, exploiting that, and how fake branches bow and fall because this has been both fake parties. They have Russians and Cuban stuff, whatever they have associated with this clicks with CCSU, with the crimes at Trinity College too, criminal uses of deans, criminal uses of the investigations of Saudi Arabia and of all the phenomena with that. I have the sources because they're involved with Trade Center crime acts, roles from inside, outside of it, from inside, outside the Ninth Circuit, leading up to it in that context, proven, further recorded, and and further leading up to it in 2006 case. Same people attached me to fake locations as a kid. God forbid you wait more time, my time, waste more time. This is worse than extortion. From before the Trade Center attacks, straight in the line, I can't find one man or woman who's true. Now there's a problem. Now this shows that we have sick, fake punk men using the only let realize sick punk. What kind of women be with that? How they pretend other. You have to extort people. You have to sustain hurt bad. You have to sustain the recorded crime methods, not even let demonstrated, because you're making people pick what to counter and what to ignore. It's a cold world. You're valuing where you can't value and defend us at the same time. Nations each, you sick fake sides. See suits and ties. I tell no lies. CT. Now drop two sides. Your comment got a heart. Somebody like my comment. Thank you. So, Key and Peele, please, or Key, please get your network to respond because this is right through administrations with torture too. Torture. They went against. They went. They're pretending to be against torture. They're keeping the ISIS. You know. No, they're valuing what is that all knaves. So you gotta just react. Knave. Use what's there. Oh, that's integrity. That's criminal and ceaseless nature. That's all it needed. That's all it needs. The spots. That's why we have recorded actually all the people on off the state judicial branch offices all the way from and with that pattern on Maple Street corners. What's the get a response for these natures of police forms and the police with the Weathersfield police chief. So before we start going into the family members and the houses of the state police demonstrated criminally involved. A whole bunch of people associated with Eric Jensen, also with his family members with state police, former director of the FBI, involved federal crimes with overt criminal enterprises with databases, intercities, crime acts roles with offensive evidence receptions, identity thefts, sequence shift crime acts roles with the people associated criminally with the Trade Center attack context. With that kid who was they put sitting next to me, make a statement, had the people sitting right there. These courts are sick. Let's all beware. They're victims, but they're victim predators. They're blaming other things, others themselves, for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. They're in collusion with a whole bunch of nations, no like Russia, with criminal justice, with psychology, with badges, people with badges with psychology that are involved with a whole bunch of crime methods with theories that are delusions raw, criminally foreign influence used to prevent free speech and actual science. When they're doing, when we debate their delusions, So they forge names, switch names. You sick fake punks with case. You know how much hurt they sustain this. Blame all the things others. They need their fact cheating nature needs wars and conflicts. All it takes is to admit, I think we're building all this stuff all this time. Maybe we all you have to do is admit we're all forsaken. This is a recorded criminally forward influence zoning laws, pathology, denature relationship to nature. Ask a Native American. Awes, shock and awe. No. So they make you further. That's you. That's your valued Native American, especially if you're not a Native American and you're here and Native wherever you are. I'm not saying they remember their actual culture. That was memory of the nature of science is gone. A quality of fact, human nature gone. Boxing is strong, but give it rest. I tell it best. Boxings. I tell you things. Tells us things. Behold, the skyline only fills. It lifts in gifts or leaves. Italadis, told. The timeless way returns this way alone. Please follow mandated law. Note how no one has courage for this. Just hear me, someone, and we'll start with we'll get the names. We'll get them from the forging names and switching names interbranch family members. So you don't realize how many people work with a court, how fast the whole courts become sick beasts with that weapon. These are people crimes with overt criminal enterprises, a whole bunch of private. Sick men and women with child offenders roles because they need to hide their life progressions. They need to hide their actually recorded natures. They need to hide their actually recorded crime methods, like pretending it's a crime method recorded, consciously known by them, criminally used by them because their victim is also recorded. That they pretend, well, it's a prosecutor's job to just try to prosecute, you know, or just to find, some way. They know that that they have degenerates associated with them, faking, falsifying police reports, faking illusions to hide their life progressions from presidents. Keep them roles. Fake positive. How are we going to pretend? Pretend you're for voting. Free speech. Free the integrity of the law right now. Fake branches bow and fall. Build the wall. Get me a response right now. It's a sustained crime method. I can't yell at the school, but I need a response because they're interbranch forging names, switching names. Crimes further with worse child offenders than the principal sex offender with his school and with other campuses. How do I know about it? They brought it up because they got caught. So they had to keep hiding lie progressions. The federal crimes at each of the campus I went to. They did criminal uses of a whole bunch of people tied to a Joshua Stryker. Also recorded and confessed with the people with the state judicial branch officers criminally. Foreign and domestic military, overt criminal enterprises, bombs with kids roles because offensive evidence reception predators, sequence shifts, pretending people using means to pretend passions and emotions so they can pretend people knew them themselves in other contexts. These are also crime acts roles with the Oliveri family, with the wire crimes, with AT&T clicks, with FBI clicks, with the foreign and domestic, also with the KKK themed identity thefts, military, foreign, and domestic, predicate acts, clicks, roles, their family members, real sick punk fakes. Wait till I get what's the last name of your wife? Justin Kovinskis. Where's this kid live now? He's next to a school, huh? He's next to a religious spot. Where's he live? What's your brother's name? What state is he in now? Now, see, these are bad people we have. We have sick punk fakes that are using. We have breaching screens, tools, and roles. Don't respond. Don't hide and plot and make opinions about people you don't know what they're talking about. Respond. Tell me, get the name and to one name and sequence into branch. This is all recorded true. Their delusion's raw. Now watch, because this New Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of courts and judges are involved with this Leahy family, former director of the FBI down, overt criminal enterprises, real sick sons of real sick people associated with them, involved also with a whole bunch of more corruption on off the stop and shops and whatever with Town Line. You know, just get a response so we don't have to seek out the names that way by describing all this stuff that you guys obviously there's something they're ducking behind with it. Well, because also because criminal uses of lawyer in the pattern, lawyers use for crimes with fake sides of issue of correlation nature, like with an identity theft rackets roles, sequence shifting rackets roles, like associated with a what's his name, Mike Pandoff and his family, people associated with that Samuel Dick's house. For a whole bunch of people associated with doctors involved with crimes with kids and with my name, sequence shifts, forging names, switching names, crime roles, threatening me, torturing me, get them to one name and sequence. These people are pretending that with statutes they have rights to do what they don't. They're forging medical crime roles, faking things into databases, faking conversations. These are a whole bunch of people with the Dillon family too. I mentioned that, but with this guy, with this new, with whole bunch of people with the new and past neighbors and crime methods preventing mandated law because they're caught recorded how using the other family members and houses well associated with the witness protection program involved with the police forms associated further with the child sex offenders, medical offenders, other natures of child abuse. There's a D. Simone family, and there are other families from the area in the past that were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with wire crimes that with a whole bunch of pattern of people tied to the on and off the judicial branch offices. Now, this Joshua Stryker and a Joshua Julian further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved crimes with internet police, with clicks with former director of the FBI down with a whole bunch of federal criminals, overt criminal enterprises, uses of state police, uses of various natures of courts and their family members. This is what they're keeping them needing to hide their life progressions together. The same organized crime method that has them all grouped. Same way the finite level they have through time. Oh, we're trying to bring together this gang and this gang. They need those gangs so they can blame the real causes, keep the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures like predicate acts, wrongdoers, wrongdoing natures, criminal insidiousness natures, blame the causes of them on other things others themselves. This is an intercampuses database tied organized crime method, identity theft crime method, but it's also an identity of the ground relationship to our value of identity crime method. Let me speak for you because Snoop Dogg won't. Let me speak to Snoop Dogg. If he'll listen, maybe he can't. If he won't, then don't. But I'll speak. Don't stay. Oh, it's the LBC. I'm a criminal enterprise because you guys are rules with some fake education. How come it's the guy who's always glorifying the fake education? Oh, it's behavior because they need behavior punks. So because when people with manners, they can keep them discredited. You know, it's good to feel good about yourself, but how old are you now? Play like in other words, Snoop, help, because you're involved with the Trinity College, involved with these people with the crime methods. You say, how come you don't deal with it directly? They're forging names and switching names, Snoop. They're using color also, interbranch. Women judges, black and white. Women judges, crimes with child sex offender principals, campus further with the ones with Trinity College. What brought that up also delayed me from countering there. Also, the methods they use. I don't want to die alone, too, Snoop. I want to meet someone someday. I don't have time to counter this. These are kids, Snoop. So get me a response because you're spreading lies through kids with overt criminal enterprises. And Key, like with this Joshua Julian tied to the girl with the McMansion repeated. I don't know if that was, in other words, and then well, that was different. What was it? Now you didn't say McMansion. You said something like, whole lot of people want to buy a house. Just for example, as a theater, and as a theater as a symbol now associated with presidency. Since founding, with that office recorded criminally foreign influence forced to rolls with states and areas fake positive. Real sick nature, states and areas. All the help they'll get is that or none. Boxing is fun. One way alone. Follow rules. Follow mandate scores. Fools. See, with the networks, I stole my identity. So I can't have free speech. But it's worse because they're with a pattern of crime acts since I was a kid with the same ones in a sustained method. There are also crimes with the transition from ACA to RICO. Criminal uses with a whole bunch of nations there and here, the same methods, recorded, demonstrated to, to, to perfected. They have two categorical crime acts, roles, illusions, spread uses of Facebook together with overt criminal enterprises, with the undercover with Fox Connecticut News, WFSB, with mayors and their family members recorded federal crimes with them, with databases, with cases already and to come. We need the attorney general crush them now. Vaccines, it's fun. They've crushed us long. Vaccine is strong. So they've been faking things into databases against everyone. And they keep all rolls with that, blaming other things others themselves for it, for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, actually. But they don't understand that. That's how real sophistication can form as a breaching screening tool and worse. So the advertisement companies were also with time. Like in ILO and and these are people that judges whatever tells them the right to do it. I'm not talking about that. They're stealing identity through time. I'm talking about what's facilitated to connected crime acts. That's why they can't talk now. They use offensive evidence reception crime roles facilitated sometimes by the criminally foreign influence branches. And so, at the same time, it's both, but it's also how everyone associated with them is criminally foreign influence. And they're all pretend it's just their role with undercover. So we have too many nations sick undercover natures of the law. Identities of the law. You can't defend that. Treatments of identity and also at the same time from what is a whole bunch of natures of identity theft, motivations, roles, natures, needs with it. I shouldn't have to beg every day for free speech. Associated with this, I mentioned this is an organized crime against kids where they're attaching them and their family members to fake words. If you call up to report it, they pretend they don't understand because the crime acts are being directed by a whole bunch of different police forms and the police chief and his family members and his own daughter and her kids already facilitated the federal crime acts roles by them already. These are the and uses of databases, uses of others forced sustain with this. And they're in the background making lies about me, forging names, switching names, interbranch, grouped and together, even distinctly not distinctly grouped as a. In other words, even they have sources. Interbranch people are using their sources criminally. They know they're lying. They've been using courts and police sicker than most overt criminal enterprises with them. They're in collusion. All victim predators. Forgiveness was is to counter this organized crime method by using correlation nature's identity. Quality of fact, human nature being prevented. Follow mandated law. Who says that they're following mandated law? They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they did. So they want to say, oh, in the background, oh, no, we didn't say that. That's recorded. Then deny it. You wouldn't give me writing. You can record it, confess, and demonstrate it. You stack databases with falsified police reports with faked arresting officers, switching arresting officers' names, and all different narratives from all different towns too, even with child sex offenders. A whole bunch of people with the detective Samuda involved. Let's go. A whole bunch of doctors involved with crimes with their patients and criminals before they went in there. Facebook, let's go. Facebook, they use behaviors. They hire people to be. You work and you were hired to be a police officer of the internet. So now you decide what behavior is right. Now these are federal crimes with evidences. These are identity theft racket natures. These are delusions wrought people associated with the policing of the internet. Crime uses of Facebook through that, not just indirectly too, but also from indirectly from their roles with the former director of the FBI down. Other agencies, real sick uses of their women, sick funk. What punk has that Kelly Gizmerick in her family? They'll pretend you're Russian. Was she Russian? I don't know, but I never had anything to do with her. And now she's involved with a whole bunch of people like Eric Jensen and people like that, intercities, intercampuses, federal crime acts roles recorded and confessed. Crimes with databases, state police, overt criminal enterprises, military cliques, that the same ones recorded by those they don't understand these, but foreign and domestic, criminally foreign influence. All facilitated the crime acts roles with the house with the extended family members involved with the recorded, confessed, and demonstrated pattern of crimes with kids, with untimely deaths and stuff like that too, connected. Identity thefts, fake ties to me, intercities tie, like the Scalora family and a Phil Cololo, both recorded, confessed, and demonstrated tied to the Morrow family and to a Kalal family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes with them with the Weathersfield police through time, since before they were police, involved federal crimes with database. A whole bunch of people tied to a confessed, recorded, demonstrated a Prusy family. His crimes through time with people associated with CCSU, with mayors retired and standing, further involved with forensics clicks, with the transition from ACA to RICO, criminally foreign influence uses of the FBI through time, involved also with the police chief, with the on-off campuses clicks. There's an Ian up the street also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with his family members and neighbors involved. I will get in quick before where I'm going to go next. Was when people make statements you don't know, then they pretend that's a pattern because then if in the future now it's recorded how they use those people to pretend things that then facilitated their motivations for the roles recorded, confessed, and demonstrated intercities, intercampuses tied to the child problem because they need to discredit people by and keep everyone valuing their means to do it by having already facilitated fake things and pretended into databases with areas, intercampuses, and interbranch doing it too. These are worse than interstates. But a whole bunch of people with the name Alicia recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. A whole bunch of people with CCSU needing their money back. Now we need federal stewardship of CVCCSU. So Key and Peele, maybe the people are true. They have motivations. But before anyone can play about theater, we have to have the counter theater to counter the criminal and seditious nature. That's preventing free speech. That's forcing through administrations child offenders. Now, hold on. Criminal uses of the sensibilities of each of the of religious spots clicks recorded, maintained, criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, and that exploited. And how? That's recorded. Confessions. I had people from the former director of the FBI, a whole bunch of foreign nations, all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes with people all tied to the same house in my area, with the extended family members note. Now with the forensics clicks and crimes with the witness protection program. No, also with the forensics with that were involved with crimes with the FBI and with the investigators of that of the murder of Billy Grasso. Those are also people that are further still criminal uses of that. The roles with the child offenders. These are also the child offenders crimes with the investigators of the Trade Center attack. Now that's tied to where and how they know it's that recorded, it's demonstrable. They know that what really led up to the Trade Center attack has a lot to do with how we're naive. For shared policing, a whole bunch of people in Puerto Rico recorded and confessed and demonstrated federal crime acts roles with the campuses. On and off them crime acts roles. A whole bunch of people with Mexico, prison clicks, psychology clicks, intercampuses clicks, database crime acts roles. Same method, sickly distinctly there is sickly distinctly here is sickly non-distinctly the same exact one there and here. It's got nothing to do with justice. It's got nothing to do with money motivations. It's got nothing to do with everything that everyone blames it on, all juxtaposed. Free speech. Free speech right now. Big branches bow, each theater fall. Nature acting. No method act. Don't fake it here. No, not at all. Colors, course, boxings. I'll tell us things no one else will. Please follow mandated law. Someone respond for your networks. Key and Peele, they have you involved. There, in other words, they have your little commercials on there involved with what's his name? ILO's Kitchen, Connecticut Lighting. These are people involved further on off the judicial branch offices with the child offenders, medical ones, judicial ones, police forms all together, foreign and domestic families, intercampuses, crime acts, roles, and methods bonded, but whole methods recorded. So get them from the 4G names and switching names and to one and to response because they also prevent writing criminally through time. Same ones attaching kids to fake locations associated with a whole bunch of New York, Connecticut bad thing. Boxing. So CNN do it so it's easy. So you can be about news. Don't pretend you're about. See, you guys have a network that's victim of their victim predator though of their sources, like your CNN sources, like your CC Central Connecticut State University sources, recorded and involved with database crimes with former director of the FBI, down foreign and domestic military families, whole bunch of people training and associated with the family members of the leaderships of prisons, involved with child offenders, interstates, bad things, worse than interstates, vaccines, vaccines, especially women, they want to lead. Free the woman, free speech. They have women fighting with sick men tactics and then calling that you know, oh, this is man, this is what they're using those kind of both men and women to keep quality fact cheating data sequence shifts from being countered. You can't defend America until you can defend the free speech, till you can counter these torture methods of identity thefts, fake conversations sustained. This is worse than extortion. They have crime methods. They know they have crime action roles with Russians, the same courts pretending to be against it, especially with psychology, especially with how they do research, how they, it could be the problem of the shooting in this area. Those same campuses, victims were facilitated to it from off campuses maintained, so they could use those identities. They're using identity. It's ties to our fact sheet. It is our fact sheet nature. Don't forget that. Vaccines. Please follow mandated law. Give me a response. Let's have a conversation about real value. Sequence true. Let's have our course at last. Who said that? You want to know how to make a good speech? You keep it real. You face the fake. CT must break.